Okay, just want to show you a couple things that some of you missed out on with the debugger, because it is pretty important. I already have my objects on the workbench, a mail server named MailServe1, a mail client named WanClient, a mail client named SophieClient, and then the WanClient object is has the string username of Wan and connects to our mail server object, which has a list of mail items, which starts to go down objects talking to other objects. We also have SophieClient with the username of Sophie connecting to the same server. I'm going to let Sophie have a couple of messages sent. So I'm going to send mail to Wan. Might help if I type that properly with the... Okay, this is the first message. Okay, and I'm going to do send mail item and just use the drop down Wan. This is the second message, just to quickly populate those. So our mail server, there's our source code. Our mail server object has a list of items. There are now 2 items in there. If I go and look at that, and I can see that there's a message from Sophie to Wan. This is the first message. This is from Sophie to Wan. This is the second message. So BlueJ lets us explore what's inside of objects, but sometimes we need to see that while the code is running. So if I were to go over to mail server and I were to go ahead, I'm sorry, I guess it was mail client was the example, wasn't it? Mail client, and we were to look at print next mail item. So I've set my breakpoint as you guys did. If I come over here and I ask Wan to get next mail item. Oh, that's crap. I wanted to print next mail item. So now I've actually lost that first mail item, didn't I? It'll be interesting to see. So, server, get next mail item for the user. Over here, I can see that the server object is this private class variable over here. And if I wanted to look at my server object, I can actually take a peek, and because I had gotten the mail item, now the list only has the message, get the second message. And that is useful because I can see that the state of what's going on there has changed. Now, I have not yet executed this line. I'm declaring a variable named item, but I haven't done that yet. If I step, item now exists, and I can see that over here, that item exists in my local variables because I'm declaring it here on this line. And what is that item? It got it, and it is this message from Sophie to Wan. This is the second message. This way, when you were making your predictions, a lot of you are like, well, I've gotten this item. It should not be null. But the debugger was actually showing you it is clearly not null because it has assigned an object to it. If item equals null, it does not. So it's definitely going to take the else. We go to the line, first line of code inside the else block. It prints. There it is. Here we go. And if I continue, or step, either one, because I'm at the end, it's like, okay, I'm back here. But, because I didn't terminate, all of my objects still exist. If I ask my Wan client to get next mail item, to print next mail item, okay, now, item hasn't been assigned yet. I step. Item has been assigned, but if we look over here, item is null because when it went to get next mail item, nothing could be returned. So now we know it's going to take the if item equals null. It does. We skip past the end of the if else block. We're at the end. Prints out no new mail. We step, and it's like we had continued and nothing is still there. Please make sure that in addition to being able to see the code run, that you know how you can use the areas of this part of the debugger in order to see exactly what is inside your variables as it is running. Last thing, if we were to go to our mail item into our constructor and put a breakpoint there, if I make a new message, so Juan is going to send a message to Sophie, message received, hope you are well. Okay. We're going to try to create this method, or create this message. My breakpoint now is inside of the constructor for mail item. I can see that right now the private variable from hasn't been assigned, but the parameter from has been assigned. The private variable to has not been assigned, but the private variable, the local variable to has been assigned. Same for the message. So as I step, this objects from field becomes equal to the parameter from step, and now Juan is up here. We're at this line, we haven't assigned it yet, but the parameter to goes into this field, this variable's, this object's to field, and it's there. And then the message, the object has been created, we come back out. We've finished the send mail item, and then so it jumped us out of the mail item class, and we are after that inside of the send mail item, and then we can see what's going to happen there. Server.post. If I wanted to, I could step into the server object and see what it means to post, and that just adds the item to the list of items that it's managing. And I can step past that, and now I'm done. The debugger lets you see complex object-to-object interaction. We're going to be focusing a lot on object-to-object interaction from here on out. So add that to your tool belt. It's good to have a mental model. Often, as programmers, our mental model is not reflected in what is actually happening in the code, especially as the projects become more complex. And so this will help you adjust your thinking so that you can begin to understand what Java is doing with the objects we're trying to use or the objects that we are creating.